my chest was in like this because I had to sit like this, and my body was in the round of the seat. So I had to go like this and turn and put this arm here. This arm was all the way over here. This leg was in a position that it should never be in, even while if like you're getting busy, you shouldn't put a leg there. And this one was around the gear shift, so the stick, when I shifted down, was in my junk.
My name is Mike Musto. Each week I travel the country with the goal of showcasing the best and baddest muscle cars and hot rods around. Every car has a past and every owner a story. Welcome to the world of Big Muscle. Family heirlooms tend to come in a variety of different shapes and sizes. Sometimes they come in the form of a piece of jewelry, other times a piece of furniture. Rarely though do they come equipped with a 255 cubic inch Ford Flathead, side pipes, and a sound that has the ability to transport us back to a time when telephones were a luxury item and refrigeration meant stuffing your food into a box that contained nothing more than a big old block of ice. This is Anji Ramsey's 1922 Ford Roadster, and it's a car that's been in her family in one way or another for the better part of 65 years. And even though it looks outstanding and drives beautifully, I did, however, encounter one small problem.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, this is a first on Big Muscle. And what I mean first, I mean I'm driving on the right side of the car with the steering wheel on the left side of the car for the simple fact that I actually don't fit in the car. Now, some of you are going to watch this and you're going to say, well, don't you think this is irresponsible and not safe and everything else? And to you I say, this car is a 1922 Ford. And so when you think about it, back in the day it didn't need brake lights. No, it needed one brake light. It didn't need any turn signals. God knows it didn't have any seatbelts. So we figured, well, what the hell? If I'm going to drive it, why not drive it the most unsafe way that I can? No, I mean, honestly, that's not true. But I simply don't fit, and that's why I literally have to drive the car from this side. You know, now we were talking about it before. You gotta wonder, well, people back in the day, were they really this short? I'm not really sure of the answer. I mean, I'm 6'4", say 245, 250, right? And I'm trying to drive a car that was built for somebody on their best day that's 5'10". You know, here we are cruising along. I'm getting looks from everybody that's going past me because they're like, what the hell is going on here? But anyway, let's bypass the fact that I'm on the wrong side of the car and get down to the nuts and bolts of this thing. 1922 Ford, powered by a flathead engine, 2 single-barrel Stromberg carburetors. The suspension on this thing is as old school as they get. You gotta remember, this car is pushing almost 100 years old. So, you know, you've got these great torsion bar kind of shocks in these things. Not torsion bar, mind you, but torsion springs that kind of go up and down and they flex and even out the ride of the car, and you combine that with the leaf springs, and you know what? It's really not an unpleasant ride. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, I have no idea how this review is gonna be. I'm powering the gas with my right foot, using the brake with my left foot, and I've got the gear lever in between, well, my junk, because that's the only place that it can go. Now, I don't mind driving with 2 feet. I mean, I do it a lot when I'm on the racetrack, so it's not something that's uncommon. But driving on the right side of the car while the steering wheel is on the left side of the car and trying to keep the car in the center track going straight down the road, that's new. That's very, very new.
So Ange, you know, we talked a little bit on the telephone and you started to send me some pictures of this thing, and I think it was one of the few cars that we fell in love with immediately. So give me a little, first of all, just give me a brief explanation of what it is, what the car is.
Well, it's a 1922 Ford Roadster. Came into my family back in the mid to late 40s.
Okay.
To my grandfather. And he built it and did what he wanted to with it, and got passed through several great uncles. And my great uncle Tommy was the last one that had it. And he sold the car in '72.
Okay.
And it's been out of our family until about 1997. I tracked it down and bought it back.
So you actually hunted this thing down?
Hunted it down, yeah. It took me almost 2 years to track it down and find it. my father had gotten into the classic car scene again and
Okay.
was doing some stuff with him, so he kind of got me hooked on it. And I had always asked him whatever happened to Grandpa's old hot rod, and he said, oh, it's parts and pieces somewhere. So I just, like I said, spent about 2 years and a lot of asking questions and
Okay.
trying to figure out where it is, and I found it.
Was it local when you found it?
Well, not really. The gentleman that had it was retired originally out of the Bay Area, moved
Okay.
up into the El Dorado Hills,
Okay.
bought a big chunk of property up there, and so he had it for a little over 10 years.
Right.
Been sitting in his garage for at least 10 years.
Okay.
He could hardly get in and out of the thing. I'm not going to say why, but he just wasn't driving it a whole lot anymore and was wanting something else. But of course, I finally, when I got a name of who it possibly belonged to,
Yeah.
they were listed in information and called him up and said, hey, you own a 22 Roadster, and the rest is history.
So now, when you were a kid, do you remember this car as a kid and growing up? And
No, other than pictures. No. Well, I can't say that. I remember it when my Uncle Tommy had it. I
Okay.
don't remember it when my grandfather had it.
Okay.
My grandfather actually passed away before I was a year old, so I really never got to know my grandpa, other than just how cool of a person he was.
So
that I
you
heard
basically
stories.
knew your grandfather through photographs and through
Yeah.
stories and everything
Yep.
else.
Yeah, he raced hardtops here in Vallejo, pretty
Okay.
popular. He had a chrome plating shop here in Vallejo as well, which a lot of the chrome work on here is his original chrome
Really?
work. Yeah. So a lot of this was done back in the late 50s, early 60s.
Well, you were saying that he was a pretty interesting guy too.
He was a character. He actually owned several exotic cats and other animals, foxes and.
Now,
all
by cat,
kinds
you
of stuff.
mean like?
He had a mountain lion. He had a couple of jaguars. I think he even had some monkeys at some point in time. And like I said, all these are just photos. There is stories of the jaguars with me as a baby, but other than that, I don't remember any of that.
Holy
stuff,
cow!
so.
The car itself, it's pretty amazing. I mean, you wonder about these cars and you say, well, how do they actually drive? And it does actually drive quite nice. It really does. I mean, the ride is pretty smooth, even though the suspension's, almost 100 years old. But it does exactly what you need it to do, and there's nothing wrong with it, I mean, if you hit a good bump, it'll pogo you a little bit, which I'm sure you can see. But otherwise, it's really not that bad. Power-wise, from the old, the Flathead, this is not a car that's about power. This is a car that's about cruising. And one of the things that we really want to talk about is that when a lot of people look at this car, they're going to look and they're going to see this car and they're going to think it's a rat rod. And because that term has gotten so, I hate to say used up, but used up. Everybody thinks everything nowadays is a rat rod. This is a hot rod, and it's a beautiful hot rod. When Angie decided to redo this car, she wanted to redo it as it was, to pay homage to her family and her grandfather who owned the car. It's such a tastefully done car. So, I mean, the lines on the car, the mechanics of it, the way that the suspension is original, it's just, you come across these cars where so many times it's not about speed, it's not about horsepower, it's not about handling, it's about lineage. It's about what the car originally was and not only what it means to the owner, but what it meant back in the day. This car does that in spectacular fashion. Like I said, there's no reason for me to jump on an expressway and go, 80 miles an hour. There's simply no call for it. It's made for cruising. I mean, you got a gorgeous day and we're looping around and just having fun, and how do you beat this? I mean, I'd like to be sitting on that side of the car, but I'll be honest, sitting on the right side, I kind of feel like I'm a passenger and a driver all as well. It's actually kind of cool.
Well, the whole time frame from when it got sold out of the family until the gentleman that I bought it from got a hold of it was a mystery. I just found all this information out within the last year or two.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I had done a article for Hot Rod Deluxe, and I get a phone call out of the blue. He said, I live up in Seattle, Washington, and I was on my way home, flying home, and I picked up the Hot Rod Deluxe magazine and was reading through it and saw your article and went, there's my car. He was the original owner from the 70s.
Was he really?
Yes. And so just within the last year and a half, he sent me some of the old photos.
So it
from
seems
when
like every
they
time
had
somebody
it.
else sees it, that you get a little more information on the car.
Yeah, and it's been in some street scene magazines. I actually just found a street scene with actually the motor with the blower on it on the cover.
I can't even
So-
imagine what this would be like to drive with a blower. I mean, that's just got to be insane.
Yeah, so that was real cool to get all that history, because that was the whole pretty much decade that I had no information on.
Now it's interesting, when you roll into it, listen to that. That sounds so good. You know, these old Flatheads sound like these old boats, right? I used to work in a marina when I was a kid, and there were a lot of old wooden boats, these old pacemakers and Chris Crafts, and they all had these big old V8s, and they all kind of made this kind of blah, 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 blah sound that we're hearing right now. It doesn't, there are no trends in this car, right? This car, you could take this car back to 1922, and the car would fit right in. You could drive this down the street in 1922, and it would look the same. This car is a time machine. It's like a time warp. You get in this car, I want a white t-shirt, I want to roll my sleeves up with a pack of cigarettes, put in an old pair of black work boots and slick my hair back, what there is of it, and cruise. I want to pick up chicks in this car. I mean, it makes you appreciate all the engineering that we have today, but it doesn't make you forget where that engineering came from and why something like this is so important. I'll tell you, right seat driving isn't bad. This actually works out pretty well.
That last statement, the one about right seat driving not being too bad, yeah, well, I totally lied about that.
I answered so much.
There's no windscreen, no doors, no storage, no safety equipment, and it possesses a comfort rating that would make the people on Yelp run screaming into the distance. You see, this thing left me feel like I'd been beaten up by a busload of school kids, like I'd fallen down a flight of stairs, or like I'd had some sadistic yoga instructor bend up my body in ways that should never, ever be talked about in public. I have never been in so much pain after driving a vehicle, and yet, aside from its faults, that are mostly due to my size, I will remember this car forever. To Angie, we'd like to say thank you for letting us showcase your wonderful little Roadster. And we'd also like to give you some insight into what you missed by departing just a scant 5 minutes before we did.
I've never jumped a train before. This is my chance.
You can. You. Uh-oh.
With a car, though.
This is not good.
No, the end's right there. We'll go past.
I will laugh so hard if it stops right now, and we will drive over a curb to get out of here.
So much pain. Oh, it's so much pain.
Battle wagon, we can do it. Look at all those things. We can build a ramp and not get stuck.
No! No!
What? This is picture worthy.
I got on video. It's right there. It's right there. It goes all the way down there, and it's right there.
We got to get over these tracks. There better be another exit out of here. Yo,
So- Oh no!
Yo, there's no way out of here.
There's
bro.
totally no way out of here.
Do I hear a diesel? This is horse I swear to God, if I wasn't in so much pain, I'd be in that back seat, pounding your head into hamburger.
Did I say that it'd be funny if it stopped before it stopped, or did I say it after?
You said, wouldn't it be great if the train stopped just shy of letting us out? That's what you said.
I think it's worth it. This is fun.
My chest hurts so much.
That big tough guy with the muscle car show.
I hate
If we're here more than an hour, we will build a ramp.
I think those
we
pallets
got those
are
steel
because those
things.
pallets are about the size of a car. What we got over here?
We got a penguin
We can't use penguins.
and a bench.
Yeah, but I will
through
climb
this
that fence and steal that guy's wood.
We should get some.
I bet you the battle wagon could bust through that fence.
Where, does it get us anywhere?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Let's see what's over there.
There's more
If
pallets.
we have to go through that fence to get around the backside of this building into there, I think we can devise a plan.
I'm thinking there's probably
that's
at least
committing
one
a lot of
security
people.
camera around here.
I'm okay with it.
I'm pretty sure they'd know that the dudes who got stuck are the ones that knocked down the
I'm
fence.
thinking I could just see the cops in tomorrow morning. So last night there were these 3 idiots, and they tried to jump a Caprice wagon.
Oh, yeah.
Jump it. We just need to ease over it slowly. See, this is why we need a 4-wheel drive production car, because we can just boot it up.
If we had a Raptor, you are correct.
Raptor would not fit through that gap.
Yeah, it would.
You'd
It'd go right over those bushes.
Yeah, you gotta knock over the tree.
The wood's not gonna hold though. They're 4x4s.
Yeah, it's a 4x4.
You line it up.
Because you'd only have one axle on the thing
The
at
4x4 at a time. Yeah, that's true. We would totally be on YouTube tomorrow morning because
We are on YouTube.
but we'd really be on
Yeah.
YouTube. But it is making noise.
It went.
Come on, you motherfuckers!
$8:30, ramp building again.
Hey, imagine if it was winter and it would be dark as right now.
Hey! We ain't waiting around.
I'm gonna live.
Is it clear?
Clear, go.
Wait, make sure no one's oncoming. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's a good. Is anybody coming? No.